Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Warriors Offseason Preview Part 3. So we're gonna get into it. We got some more news that dropped. So we gonna get into it once a few of y'all get up in here. While we wait, I guess we could talk about the playoffs. So the T Wolves got up out of there. They got bounced. Pretty embarrassing series. Wasn't worthy of Western Conference Finals. The T Wolves was not one of the two best Western Conference teams left standing. They got there. They outlasted other teams. They outlasted the Warriors because of health. That's fine. You give props for getting there. Like a big part of getting to the Western Conference Finals, getting to the finals, getting to the promised land, winning a championship is, hey, which team can stay the healthiest? That's a part of it. The T Wolves were the healthier team against Golden State. They outlasted them. So it is what it is, but that definitely should have been the Warriors in the Western Conference Finals. They definitely wouldn't have went out in 5 games. I could promise you that. I promise you Steph and Jimmy ain't going out in 5 games if everybody's healthy. But hey, woulda, coulda, shoulda. What woulda, coulda, shoulda, man. The Warriors season is over, and we talking about the off season. So, Marquise, what's up, bro? I see you. First one in here. What's popping? So it's unfortunate, man, but we move. So, anyways, how's everybody doing, man? How's everybody doing? If you in here, let me know. Let me get a roll call, man. Oy. This is gonna be this. We gonna get into Kuminga soon because a lot of Kuminga talk. A Kuminga article just dropped actually with Anthony Slater. So a lot of Kuminga news drops. We gonna get into that pretty soon. Go me. What's up, bro? It's retire. I see you, bro. We need Cam Johnson this summer. Interesting. We gonna get into all that, man. You watch every vid, but just don't type. Well, I appreciate you for showing love, man. It's retire. Thank you, bro. Thank you, thank you. But yeah, man, let's get into it, bro. So yeah, some news dropped. What's up, Santana Mac? I see you. So some news dropped. So actually, I wasn't aware of this. So Brandon Pajemski underwent successful left wrist debridement surgery yesterday and that's a shooting hand, by the way. So Paz had a procedure on his shooting wrist. He's expected to make a full recovery and be ready for the start of training camp. So, I mean, look, I think we were all disappointed in Pods and Moody's performances in a playoffs, especially after Steph went down. We were looking for some young dudes to step up and take the reins and just hold it down. Just get one game, and just hold it down until Steph gets back and he could bring us home. It didn't happen. Pods and Moody had atrocious series against the Timberwolves. Going back to the Houston series, Moody was essentially damn near unplayable most of that series. Pods was up and down. He had some good games, had some bad games. Well, it turns out Pods had his shooting wrist was bothering him, and it took so much to the point where, I mean, it was serious enough for him to have to get surgery, like a cleanup type surgery. To he had debris, like loose debris. So probably not a fractured wrist, but just it was like a maintenance cleanup type surgery. So that's troublesome. I mean, obviously it shouldn't affect him going into next season, but that's something that could possibly linger in the training camp. So I just hope Pods can have like a strong training camp and come back in year 3 and like take a step. He had a strong rookie season. He had a sophomore slump, but came on strong to end the regular season. He had a pretty bad playoff showing. but as we can now know, he was dealing with this wrist injury in the shooting hand. So I'm not giving him a complete pass, but I am going to shoot him some bail. So we also got to keep in mind he's 21 years old, his first playoff series, his first playoff run, and he's playing through this wrist injury in the shooting hand. You got to shoot him some bail. So it is what it is in that aspect. In terms of Moody, he had a UCL injury in his thumb on his shooting hand as well. That pretty much explains why his shooting was so abysmal. Like he wasn't even hitting rim. Like a lot of his shots were so off. Like he wasn't hitting rim, or it was like a crazy brick. It was bad. And I was thinking, man, like is Moody just like, is he just shook because of the playoffs? But then I was thinking that can't be it, because he's had playoff stints before against the Mavericks in the Western Conference Finals in 2022. He had a pretty good series. He was out there against the Mavs. That Mavs team was pretty talented. He was playing a part. He was hitting shots. He was playing defense. He looked solid. So it's hard for me to believe that as a few years later with more experience in the league, that he's all of a sudden just shook. I don't really see. I didn't see that. Something didn't make sense, but I couldn't put my finger on it. But obviously, we now know that Moody had an injury on his thumb, his shooting thumb, which will most definitely affect your shooting and other aspects of your game. Your thumb is involved in everything you do with your hand. So, what's going on, y'all? I think the only reason why Draymond Green doesn't score as much as he usually does, because he's using all of his energy on the defense. Draymond is a very good player when he has energy. I just don't think Draymond. So back in Draymond's prime was like 2016. That finals against the Cavs, right before we got KD. That season where Draymond was shooting I think he averaged like 14 points a game. He was shooting like 40% from three. He was the best defender in the league, and he wasn't like a super athlete, but he was athletic. He was a good athlete in his own way, in terms of a dude his size at 6'6", just getting up and down the court, pushing the ball, pushing the pace off a rebound, just flying around defense. Like he was just otherworldly in terms of athleticism, like the peak of his athleticism combined with his anticipation, his basketball IQ. He was just that version of Draymond was like his physical prime. That was the pinnacle Draymond. The dude's a 40% 3-point shooter. And so teams were like daring him to shoot, and he's shooting 40% from three. And if you come up on him, and you have to come up on him to take away his playmaking up top, at the top of the key, hitting cutters. So teams were in hell. You got Steph running around doing what he does. This is like unanimous MVP Steph. This is Steph fresh off of like MVP number 2. Like this is like young, frisky Steph, like 28-year-old Steph just wreaking havoc. And then you got prime Draymond, who was just out there, he was a problem. I think at that point, now obviously it was short lived. I think Draymond's prime was like one season of that pinnacle, because he's never been that good since. So it was like one season that we really got to see like this prime physical Draymond that was just a monster. But I think in that season he was a top 10 player. I can say that without a doubt. Draymond was a top 10 player that one season. So when you look at Draymond's game, the current Draymond, obviously he's 9 years older than that. He's 9 years removed from that physical prime, and his athleticism has deteriorated with time and age. So when you combine that with the fact that he's not that good of a 3-point shooter, it's just not much he could do offensively. Like he's not a good finisher. The fact that he doesn't get any elevation on his finishes, and he doesn't have the touch when he does get there, that's not great. He doesn't have the athleticism to finish some dunks anymore. Like he was dunking a little bit back then. He was getting some dunks every now and then. Now he's not getting no dunks, bro. Draymond ain't dunking on nobody. It's a wrap. So he's not a good finisher. He doesn't have enough elevation to get up for dunks. He's not a good 3-point shooter. He doesn't have a mid-range game. I've always said, if Draymond just added, y'all remember Udonis Haslem, right? Udonis Haslem on the Miami Heat. You look at Haslem during like those Heat years with LeBron and D Wade. They would have Haslam, who he was a big man who literally couldn't do anything offensively besides hit like a 12 to 15 foot mid range shot. That was his offense, besides like offensive rebounding. But like in terms of like scoring the ball, the only thing he could do was hit a 12 to 15 foot mid range shot. And teams would leave him wide open. They would just leave him open and dare him to shoot. And that was him stretching the floor in his own way. Not to the 3-point line, but out to a mid range shot. And if you left him open, he was cash. It's a coin flip, like whether that was going in or not, which is pretty good percentages for a mid range shot. If you leave a dude wide open and he's hitting 50% on those mid ranges, that's solid, man. That's not bad offense, especially as like an offensive foul when you're like clogging up and you're crashing out and you're overplaying like LeBron and D Wade and Bosh, and you just need that role player to do something to be a release valve, be a play finisher, do something. That open mid range shot was money. And Draymond, I just wish Draymond added that to his game. If Draymond had like a 12 to 15 footer where teams just can't leave him, that would make a big difference, because you see how teams play him now. Rudy Gobert was literally sagging off him in the paint. In the paint. He was like 18 feet away from him, while Draymond's just wide open from the 3-point line. And it's bad, bro. Like at least if he had like a midi, Gobert can't do that. You can't just sag that far off. So, especially with Steph, when Steph went down, it was a wrap, bro. Draymond's offensive struggles when you don't have Steph there to cover up and overcompensate with his spacing, it was just all bad, bro. Draymond, without Steph on the court at this age, he has nothing he's good at offensively. There's nothing he can do offensively. So, yeah, man. It's all bad for Draymond. Speaking of Draymond, there was a report that Draymond is eligible for a 2-year extension. He just made All-NBA first team. He qualifies for an extension. I think the extension is something like 2 years, like $45 million total, which is like $22 to $23 million a year. So Draymond has 2 more years after this season. I'm pretty sure. And then he would be eligible for 2 more years of an extension at like 22 to 23 mil. How would y'all feel about that? Would y'all extend Draymond to a 2-year contract? Let's just say it's $22 million. And you have to also consider the fact that 3 years from now, every year the salary cap rises. So 22 mil 3 years from now compared to 22 mil this year would take up an even smaller percentage of the overall salary cap. So 22 million 3 years from now might be like what 15 million is this season. So y'all let me know in the comments, would y'all extend Draymond for, let's say, 22 mil a year? Let's see what y'all talking about. Looks like y'all saying nah. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. Draymond's not getting no extension, bro. He gonna have to play that out. He has no leverage anyways. I wouldn't be in a rush to give Draymond no extension because he has no leverage. Like, first of all, he's gonna be 36 years old next season. By the time his contract's up, he's gonna be like 38, going on 38. What leverage do you have? I'm not about to just pencil you in for a 2-year extension when there's no incentive to. So I'm not giving Draymond no dim extension, bro. He's gonna have to play that contract out, and we can see what happens from there. Draymond is washed at AF. I mean, yeah, he's washed, but he's still one of the best defenders in the league. He was a top 3 finisher and defensive player of the year. He probably should have won it. That in and of itself is a valuable player. So yeah, Draymond's washed. We all know that. But he's a defensive player of the year caliber player. In a playoff scenario, he's still valuable. Let's look back at the Rockets series. When Draymond was in foul trouble, first of all, when Draymond was on the court, Sengun couldn't do nothing. We all saw that, right? Sengun can't score on Draymond. He literally couldn't do anything against him. He was flopping. He was trying to back him down. Couldn't back him down. He was settling for that little push shot from 10 feet. He couldn't do nothing. But anytime Draymond went to the bench, let's say he got in foul trouble or he was resting, What does Sengun do? He ragdolled our entire team. He destroyed everybody on the team not named Draymond. The Rockets' offense overall, when Draymond's on the court, was just a huge improvement. Everybody was scoring because Draymond's not down in the paint contesting. The Rockets' athletic finishers like Jabari Smith, Amen Thompson, Jalen Green, those dudes getting downhill when Draymond's not in there, they was having their way. And then you got Sengun was bullying every big man we had. Post was getting bullied. Looney held up okay, but I wouldn't say he did great on Sengun. If we don't have Draymond in that series, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. That series is done for. So yeah, Draymond's washed offensively, but if you look at the fact that he's the backbone of the defense, look at that Rockets series. Which game was it where Sengun dropped like 35 or something? What happened that game? Draymond was in foul trouble. Sengun, I think to start the game, Sengun had like 6 points. And then Draymond got in foul trouble. So he had to get benched. And then Sengun scored he scored like 30 points after that on like 70% true shooting or some craziness, some nonsense. So it's like the Warriors without Draymond have no backbone defensively. There's like Draymond holds our defense together. You take away Draymond, and that defense is Swiss cheese. It's a wrap. It's a wrap, bro. So we can down Draymond all we want, and yeah, he's washed offensively. Yeah, like his shenanigans are annoying. Yeah, he's annoying sometimes. But the Warriors still need him. They just have to find a way to better build around what they have. Steph, Jimmy, and Draymond, that's the core. They got to build around that. Draymond's not a good offensive player, so what do you have to do? You have to get a front court player to pair with him that is an offensive player, that can space the floor, that can be a play finisher, that can score. All the times Draymond not been a problem offensively is when he's paired with another big man or another front court player that can take on that scoring role. When the Warriors had KD here, KD's a 6'11" wing. Played in the front court most of his minutes. He played small forward, but he also played a lot of power forward and small ball lineups. When you got KD out there scoring like that from the front court, Draymond being offensive liability isn't too important. So yeah, 2022 was like a anomaly because the Warriors were running like a Draymond Looney front court. They can't get away with that now, but in 2022 they got just enough out of everybody else. With Steph and Poole and Wiggins, their perimeter scoring, they got just enough defensively out of that Draymond Looney front court to survive. Don't know how they did it, but they did it. And then also, they had Otto Porter Jr. Otto Porter Jr. is not a superstar, but when you pair him next to Draymond, all of a sudden you have this other big that can space the floor that you can't leave. You have to consider out there. The defense can't just disrespect him. So that keeps the defense more honest, even though Draymond's a complete liability. So the Warriors, the formula here is the Warriors got to get a big man that can score. Some names out there. You got Brook Lopez. You got some of y'all name off some names in the chat. Some scoring big men that might be available in free agents. While y'all do that, I'm gonna go over some of this Kuminga news. So an article dropped from Anthony Slater. Basically going a little deeper into the Kuminga offseason and what's ahead. It's behind a paywall, so I'm assuming y'all didn't see all the quotes from it, but it was some interesting little tidbits. Yeah, Brook Lopez would be a solid pickup for the right price. Bro, I would take Brook Lopez, man. I know some Warriors fans are like super picky right now. They stick their nose up to Brook Lopez. I don't know why. You put Brook Lopez next to Draymond defensively, that'll look great. Offensively, Brook Lopez can space the floor. He's a legit 3-point shooting big. Like, I don't see. Yeah, he's old. He's 38 years old. But what does that matter if he's still a good player? You know what I'm saying? Like, Brook Lopez is better than any center we got on a roster, not including Draymond. He's an immediate upgrade. Yeah, he's 38 years old, but he's an immediate upgrade. He's better than Looney. He's better than TJD. And he's better than Quentin Post. No other player on our roster, no other center on our roster gives the same level of two-way ability. And then you combine that also with veteran experience as well. So you give me Draymond. I mean, you give me Brook Lopez. You don't gotta play him 35 minutes a game. You give Brook Lopez, you play him like 20, 25 minutes a game. You give Quentin Post like 18 minutes a game, and then you play Draymond the rest of the way for those center minutes that's left over. And then, I guess that's not much left over. Maybe you play Lopez like anywhere from, depending on how he's playing, anywhere from like 22 to 25. You give Draymond like 6 minutes at center, and then you give Quentin Post whatever's left over. And then I think you bring back one of Looney or TJD, only one, not both. And then they're the emergency big that only gets minutes if somebody's injured or foul trouble. Somebody's talking about Vucevic. I mean, yeah, I just don't like the Bulls is one of those teams, just franchise, their front office, they don't make trades in good faith. They always trying to get over it. It's like the Bulls rarely make trades. I know they just traded Zach LaVine because they had to and they were desperate to get off him. They were thirsty to get off of him. But besides that, how many trades have you seen the Bulls make over the past like 10 years? They don't make trades because they always want to hold on to their guys longer than they need to. And if they do put their guys on the market, they always try to like tax teams. And it's like, bro, nobody wants y'all trash players like that. Like these bum players y'all be drafting. Now, I ain't gonna lie, I want Kobe White. Kobe White is the exception. I would take Kobe White in a heartbeat. But trying to trade with the Bulls, man, they don't trade in good faith, man. It's teams like that, like Danny Ainge on a Utah Jazz. He doesn't trade in good faith. He's only making a deal if he's robbing you. You can't take him serious. That's just an unserious franchise, man. But let's get to this Kuminga news. So there's a lot of Kuminga tidbits that dropped from his article. So this is the first quote. This is from Anthony Slater, by the way, which is probably, along with Marcus Thompson, he's like the Warriors' number one go-to media reporter. So this is from his article. He said, Kuminga, lead sources have said, still has a vision of becoming an all-star, not fitting into an ever-moving mid-tier rotation role. He wants to be a featured player in the NBA offense and chase the 20-point and beyond dream he spent his life chasing in the last week of his fourth season tasting. So, no surprise, Kuminga sees himself as a 20-point per game all-star. Why wouldn't he think that of himself? I don't blame him for thinking that whatsoever. And he might be right. I think Kuminga, there's definitely a few teams in the league that Kuminga can score 20 points per game on. So, I'm not going to fault him for believing that. And if he didn't believe that about himself, then that's a problem. Because to get at this level, you got to have the ultimate belief in yourself. And if you don't, you're probably not going to make it this far. These are like the top 450 players in the league. All these dudes have this irrational confidence in themselves. Even before they were like as good as they are now, they thought they were the best player in the world. That's just how you got to think. You got to kind of trick yourself into that delusion that you're the best player on the court, no matter who you're playing against. And that's how Kuminga feels, and I'm glad he feels like that because he should. But I think that goes to show he's definitely going to be exploring his offseason. He's definitely going to be exploring, and he wants to see those dreams actualized. The quote says, 20-point and beyond dream. He spent his life chasing. His life. He's been working up to this his entire life. So he's not gonna just sign up to be a role player in a cog in the system that's like a role player. That's not how he sees himself, and he wants more. So good for Drake. Good for Kuminga. Let's keep reading. There's more. Make this bigger. Next quote. There isn't an irreconcilable player and coach or player and organization personality clash, league sources said. This is all about finding a contract and opportunity Kuminga craves. Kuminga, league sources, hasn't slammed the door shut on a return. Restricted free agency doesn't really allow it. The Warriors have ultimate control, regardless of his desire. But his comfort about the idea is dependent on several factors, and there's a month of conversation and eventual negotiations ahead with competing agendas in the mix. Interesting. So, I've explained restricted free agency multiple times on here. Basically, Kuminga's not in complete control of his own destiny. He can't just pick a team and just say, "I'm out, peace, Warriors, I'm gone." He can't. The Warriors have leverage in to where they can match any offer. Kuminga has the freedom to talk to other teams and sign an offer sheet, a contract that basically has to get reviewed. A contract he could sign a contract with a different team, but the Warriors have the opportunity to review the contract and match it if they want. And if they decide to match it, there is no like back and forth negotiation. If they match it, he's coming back to the Warriors, and that's that. So Kuminga has some leverage, but not a lot. The Warriors have the most amount of leverage in this situation because they can literally just say, like, look, we ain't trying to lose you for nothing, bro. So even if both sides feel like maybe the fit isn't great and it's probably time to move on, the Warriors can just be like, look, bro, that might be true, but we ain't losing you for nothing. We ain't losing you for nothing. We can't just let a lottery pick just walk out the front door to a different team. We spent the last 4 years attempting to develop this guy and put all these resources into developing him and molding him and doing all that, and then he's gonna walk to a different team in year 5, and they get to reap the benefits of our development. They can't let that happen. They can't let that happen. So they're gonna have to, if he wants to leave, it's tough luck. The Warriors are gonna match it, and they'll be like, "Look, bro, you're gonna have to tough it out and if you really want to leave still, we'll trade you at a different time in the future." But it sounds like Kuminga's mostly wants his generational wealth. He wants his bag, and once he gets his generational bag, and he has more of a defined role, he doesn't mind staying with the Warriors. He wants his money, and he wants an opportunity to actualize his talents the way he sees fit. So if the Warriors can promise him, first of all, if he signs a contract that he wants, that he's satisfied with a different team and the Warriors match it, he's automatically getting that money that he would have got with that team that he signed it with. So that's that. And then the only thing that would be left, the only thing left to talk about would be like his role. The Warriors gonna be like, look, we can't promise you everything in terms of your role, but number one, you got your money. It's way easier to deal with a limited role some nights when you're getting paid $30 million a year versus when you're getting paid $4 million a year, or he's getting like $7 million a year. So that's a huge difference. $30 million versus $7 million. It's like, all right, Steve Kerr is kind of messing with my minutes, but at least I'm getting paid my $30 mil. At least I got my 150 M's overall. You know what I'm saying, in my bank account or on the way. So it's easier to deal with that when you're getting properly compensated. So Kuminga's definitely, first and foremost, he's going to sign a contract with somebody. And it's up to the Warriors whether or not they decide that they want to bring him back or not, which they will. I promise you, not letting him walk for nothing. The other scenario, let's read the quote because they explain it a little better. This is also from the article. The cleanest path is finding a sign and trade scenario that delivers the Warriors a veteran who fits the unique Steve Kerr system built around Curry, Green, and now Butler. 3 unique and proven winners. One league source noted the way Daniel Gafford and P.J. Washington altered Dallas's fortunes 2 trade deadlines ago as a blueprint. That's a good example. That's a great example, actually. A steady starting center and a versatile wing made a combined $29 million at the time of the trade. So the Mavericks, they made a move at the deadline a few seasons ago. They got a starting caliber center, and they got a versatile starting caliber wing. Both dudes played a role. Both dudes helped them get to the finals. The Warriors are hoping they could do something similar, to where, all right, if they lose Kuminga, at least you got a rotation player, a veteran that can help, a veteran that's probably in his like mid to late 20s, that's right in his prime. that you can get back, and then hopefully you can see being a part of the team going forward for a few more seasons out. That would be like they said, the cleanest scenario in this situation. Just using those two players as like a palette. I'm talking about PJ Washington, who's a 6'8" power forward / small forward. He can space the floor. He's not like a great defender, but like he's passable. He has size. He's just a solid rotation level wing. And then you got Daniel Gafford, 7-footer, play finisher, can block shots. Just a solid player. So that's the kind of situation that the Warriors will be looking at if they do trade Kuminga. Can they make something like that happen? That will be a scenario. They would like, if you think, like, if you're projecting towards like, oh, are they losing that trade because they're losing the most talented player out of the trade in Kuminga? Yeah, they're losing. But if you bring more like stability in a short term, which like this window, this next season, and maybe the season after that, you get more stability with veterans that already know who they are in the league, who's not trying to explore their game, who can fit better around. They could be more of a complement and a supplement to Steph, Jimmy, and Draymond. That might be the best move to maximize this window. Because who knows how long it's going to take Kuminga to find himself. Kuminga's only 22 years old. Who's to say it won't take him another 3 years before he really comes into his own, where he's like, all right, I'm ready to like be like that guy. You never know. With young players, you never know. It could be as early as next season where Kuminga just pops and he explodes, or it could be 3 years from now, or it can never happen. All three scenarios can happen. So the Warriors basically rolling the dice and keeping Kuminga long term. There's 3 different scenarios that could happen, and they're hoping for one scenario. So it's kind of like and if you're wrong, if that scenario that you're hoping for doesn't play out, your only trade chip that you can use to maximize this window and get Steph and the fellas another chip, you basically you sat on it too long, and now Steph ages out, Jimmy ages out. Now Steph is 37, by the way. So they have to cash if they're gonna maximize this window. And they're not sure if Kuminga can be that guy that can help them right now. You got to cash it in and get more stability. That's going to help Steph before he ages out of this window to win one more. Zen, what's up, bro? Lucky, I see you, bro. What's up, man? Keem Corey, what's good, bro? So my folks, man, I see y'all. GP2 fan for life, bro. I see you, my man. Yeah, I got my people in here. I see y'all. Adrian, what's up, bro? But yeah. So yeah, a lot of y'all mentioned Cam Johnson. I think that's probably one of the cleanest scenarios. If you trade out Kuminga, getting a Cam Johnson caliber of like contributor, it's not the worst outcome. It's not the worst outcome. Last year Cam Johnson averaged 18 points per game, and he was kind of sort of in the ballpark for a 50-40-90 shooting season. He shot 47% from the field. He shot 39% from three, and he shot 89% from the free throw line. Now, obviously, it's on the Brooklyn Nets, but you still got to be efficient. Like there's no talent around you, and he still found a way to be efficient. And it's not like we haven't seen him in a winning culture. We've seen him on those Phoenix teams when they had Chris Paul, and he was a huge contributor. They got to the finals. You know what I'm saying? Now he kind of faded in the playoffs a little bit as the playoffs continued forward. But on this team, you got Steph and Jimmy to rely on offensively. You don't necessarily need Cam Johnson to be like some supreme scorer. So there's that. Imagine Cam Johnson with Steph's gravity getting those open shots. I mean, I said in my last stream, I said you could run the same plays that you ran for Klay Thompson for Cam Johnson. He's not as great of a shooter as Prime Klay, but Cam Johnson's damn good. He could hit every type of 3-point shot in the books. Movement threes, catch and shoot, relocation. not necessarily step back threes, but he can hit like some movement threes off curls. He can hit some deep threes. He's a really good shooter. But yeah, let's see. There's some other quotes I got to get to here. All right, so here's the next quote from the article. By the way, for those of y'all tuning in, all these quotes are from a recent article from Anthony Slater, the Warriors. You can probably say the number 1 or 2 media guy besides Marcus Thompson. He's extremely credible. He doesn't put stuff out unless he like hears it, and he knows for a fact this is solid information. Like Anthony Slater is like one of the best in the business. So if he's saying it, I know he vetted the information, and I know he actually heard this from a source, and he's just stirring up some drama just to get clicks. So he says, there is not a current expectation that the Brooklyn Nets are preparing an offer sheet for Kuminga, but there are signs Brooklyn could be willing to use this open cap space as a vehicle to execute multiple team trade scenarios this summer. That could open up several avenues and possible suitors for Kuminga, one of the market's most intriguing names. So he says there are signs Brooklyn could be willing to use this open cap space as a vehicle to execute multiple team trade scenarios this summer, league sources said. That could open up several avenues and possible suitors for Kuminga, one of the market's most intriguing names. So he's saying the Nets might not outright sign Kuminga to an offer sheet, but they might be willing to entertain some trade scenarios, some sign and trade scenarios. That could mean Cam Johnson coming back, or it could be a 3-team trade with this unknown team involved that might want Kuminga. It opens up so many scenarios, and we don't know how many teams are interested in Kuminga. For all we know, there's 5 teams that are like, yo, we'll take Kuminga and sign a trade. For all we know, it's probably 1 or 2. We don't know. So yeah. But that would definitely be interesting, man. I'm not for a Kuminga sign and trade. It's tough because like we've been waiting for the Kuminga leap, the leap for now 4 seasons. And every year I'm just like, Kuminga's about to take that leap. He's about to turn into a superstar. He's about to turn into a monster. And it's like, all right, year 2 didn't happen. Year 3 didn't happen. And then year 4, I was confident. I'm like, okay, Kuminga's coming back. He about to take that leap. It didn't happen. So now, if you decide to hold on to Kuminga and you're like, oh, year 5, he's going to take that leap, and he doesn't take it, you just wasted another year of Steph Curry, bro. And at that point, Steph's going to be 38 next season, bro. There's a scenario where the Warriors sign and trade Kuminga, and he just explodes on a different team, and he's just a monster. And they're just like, damn, we just traded a premier wing that's 22 years old, and he was our guy that we drafted. We could have had him. But that's an if. Another scenario that's probably more likely is that that's not what happens, and they trade for some pieces that fit better, and the Warriors maximize their chance at a title, and they get one more before Steph retires. So, decisions, man. Decisions. All right, so this quote gives a little more clarity on it's kind of complicated, so bear with me. I'm going to try to get through it for y'all. In regard to Kuminga's situation, the base year compensation rule in the CBA is a critical impediment. Assuming Kuminga gets at least a 20% raise, he will, and his new deal takes the Warriors over the cap, it will. The incoming salary will only count as 50% of Kuminga's outgoing salary for matching purposes. Basically, if Kuminga's next deal starts at $30 million, his next team absorbs that $30 million as incoming salary, but the Warriors will be looking at a $15 million incoming salary match. They could exceed it by 125%, which would be $18.7 million in that scenario. But if they were to take $1 more than the theoretical match, they'd be hard capped at the first apron. So, for example, if Kuminga's next contract is $30 million, and the Warriors do a sign and trade to that team, the team receiving Kuminga gets him as a $30 million incoming contract. But the Warriors in return is getting 15 million, half of what Kuminga signed for per the CBA rules. I don't know why that's a rule. That's what the league has in place. So the Warriors are getting back 15 million, but they are allowed to exceed 125% of that, which would be 18.75 million. So the max the Warriors can get back for Kuminga, if his theoretical contract was $30 million, is $18.75 million. And they can't go a penny over that, or they're going to be hard kept at the first apron. So the Warriors, in this scenario, they got to shop for dudes that's making around that much, 18.75 or less, and that's their budget. Now, I'm not sure if they can they can add players. Can they add players to Kuminga's outgoing? Like, for example, if they attach Buddy Hield, can they, because Buddy Hield's getting paid $8 million, can they add Buddy Hield's $8 million to that 18.7 and then receive, for example, 26 mil coming back? I think that's about what Cam Johnson makes. I'm not sure if they can add multiple players and assign a trade like that. So somebody who does know, drop it in the comments and let me know what's going on, man. But yeah. PSS champion said, I'd say 60% chance we keep him till the trade deadline. We will sign a couple of vets in the mid-level. Well, here's the thing: if the Warriors if they match his contract and he's making like $30 million, I don't think they have the mid-level available. The Warriors having that mid-level exception is completely dependent on whether they bring back Kuminga or not. I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So it's a lot on the line here, man. But I would love, man, if the Warriors, let's say the Warriors keep Kuminga and they're somehow able to sign Brook Lopez, and then let's say the Warriors keep Kuminga. This would be my dream scenario, bro. Besides Giannis. My dream scenario. The Warriors. Nah, again, I gotta actually look down and look at the salary cap and look at the numbers before I say if this is legal or not. But let's just say, oh man, HR, you don't let me finish, bro. You almost beat me to it. My scenario, dream scenario. The Warriors use the MLE to sign Brook Lopez. So they bring in Brook Lopez as a free agent. Keep Kuminga. And then they flip Moody, a first round pick, and some second round picks. You might gotta add more. But the theory is to flip Moody in a first round pick and second round picks for Kobe White. And then they re-sign Milton for the vest minimum. So my dream scenario, you turn Moody, a first round pick, and more smaller value adds into Kobe White. You sign DeAnthony Melton for the vest minimum. You sign Brook Lopez for the vest minimum. You keep Kuminga. I don't know if that's legal, financially. I gotta look at the numbers, bro. But that would be like a situation where I'm like, all right, you add front court spacing, you add front court size with Brook Lopez, you add a point of attack defender with Melton, and more 3-point shooting. Melton can also be a backup point guard option. And then you have a guard rotation of Steph, Pods, and Melton. Steph, Pods, Melton with Pat Spencer sprinkled in terms of in case there's foul trouble or something. I mess with Pat Spencer. I think Pat Spencer's a good third string. He's good. He can hoop. He gave them minutes in playoff series, and he was solid. So Pat Spencer is not some bum G League dude that barely made the team. Pat Spencer can hoop. He could definitely hoop. So that would be a solid. It would be deep first apron, maybe second. Yeah, but if they can they go that deep into the apron or whatever the case and just be yo, we're all in for this next season to win a championship. Can they do that? Because if they can do that and they just accept the fact that all right, we can't sign our draft picks are going to be frozen dead last. We can't do all these other little shenanigans. But that roster would be crazy, though. You got Steph, Melton, Jimmy Butler, Draymond, and Brook Lopez. Then you also got Pods, Kuminga. You got Pods, Kuminga. You still got Gee. You got Post. Kobe White. All right, okay, let me start over. You got Steph, Kobe White, Jimmy Butler, Draymond, Brook Lopez. You also got Pods, Kuminga, Quinn Post, and DeAnthony Melton. That's 4 off the bench. That would be nasty, bro. That would be nasty. Yeah, Moody and Kobe White is almost perfect match in salary. They both make $13 million. So that's why I'm throwing out Moody for Kobe White, because you wouldn't have to include other players. It's a clean match, salary match. The Warriors would have to just add in more compensation in terms of draft compensation. If the Bulls ask for 2 first-round picks, I'm hanging up the phone. I'm not doing 2 first-round picks when we got a 37-year-old Steph. I'm not doing 2 first-round picks for Kobe White. I'm hanging up the phone. But if it's Moody plus 1 first-round pick, and maybe like a package of second-round picks, I would do that. Would I trade for Lonzo plus Vucevic plus the 12th pick? The 12th pick. The Bulls got the 12th pick? Oh, they're not trading that pick. There's 0 chance they trade that pick. Their team is buns, bro. They have no young players to build around. They're besides that Bazulis guy, the European dude. But they're not trading that pick. Moody for Kobe White straight up would be crazy. That would never happen. That's why I'm saying they got to throw in at least 1 first-round pick, and the Bulls might ask for more. Yeah, I would love for Draymond to transition to that Iggy role player off the bench role. But in order for him to do that, somebody got to take his spot, like legitimately. Somebody has to legit take his spot and outplay him. Kuminga wasn't better than Draymond last year. I don't care how much of an offensive liability Draymond was, he was still a more impactful player. You're talking about a dude that literally held our defense together essentially by himself. Defensive player of the year type value from Draymond. He's still a valuable player. If Draymond's going to come off the bench and someone's going to take his spot, they got to earn it. Because I remember, perfect example, during the regular season, the Warriors literally, to accommodate Kuminga, they brought Draymond off the bench. Y'all remember that? They had Draymond coming off the bench for Kuminga. I forgot how many games of a stretch it was. I think it was at least 5 games. It looked atrocious. Every single game, the Warriors were getting blasted to start games because they had no defensive backbone. They had no toughness. When you take Draymond out of the starting lineup, he's a communicator, he's a linebacker, he's the anchor. You take all that out of the starting lineup, and then they had to, like, Kuminga's not filling that void in terms of like a defensive communicator, linebacker, connective defense. Like, it's not happening. So you lose that defensive backbone, you lose that toughness. And teams knew, like, oh, Draymond's not out there. Teams were punking the Warriors. So then Draymond will finally sub in, and it's too late. These teams already started the game off hot because there's no resistance. Though I think the Warriors tried like a Kuminga post front court with Draymond coming off the bench. Barbecue chicken, bro. They was cooking. It was a layup line at the rim. Quinn post. If you don't have Draymond next to him to cover for him defensively, that looks real bad. When you got Quinn post out there getting targeted, and you got Kuminga as his back line, who's not providing no help defense, is rough. So it's easy to say, oh, let's bench Draymond, but then it's like, all right, how does that look when you don't got Draymond out there? You got dudes getting bullied, no defensive backbone. Now, obviously, this was before the Jimmy Butler trade, so now having Jimmy Butler in the mix, you can say, oh, they'll hold up better. But at the same time, Jimmy Butler's about to be 36. You want Jimmy Butler to be your defensive backline? I don't know about that. And then Jimmy Butler is not the help defender that Draymond is. So even if you say, oh, we'll just plug in Jimmy Butler, he'll hold it down until Draymond subs in. Jimmy Butler is not no backline defender like Draymond, bro. He's not contesting dudes at the rim like Draymond and like forcing misses like that. That's not happening. So I remember that stretch. The Warriors are literally making their lineups worse just to accommodate Kuminga and just to maximize what he could do. They brought Draymond off the bench. Draymond was in a post game. They asked him, "How do you feel about coming off the bench?" And then Draymond was a good sport about it. He was kind of basically his mindset was like, "Well, we gonna try it and they gonna see for themselves how it looks. But I'm here. I'll do whatever it takes. If it works, it works." That was basically his mindset. It didn't work. The Warriors got blasted, and it was basically like I told you so. You take your goon off the front court, your anchor, and then the dudes you do have out there, nobody's bringing that intensity, bro. It's not gonna look good. Draymond ain't no defender versus the better playoff teams. Why is he always throws a fit? Dude, did you not watch that Rocket series? Every time Draymond was on a court, the Warriors were getting destroyed by Sengun ragdolled the entire team. Whenever Draymond went to the bench, Sengun said lunchtime, and he got straight to the post and bullied our entire team. The entire Rockets team was bullying the Warriors when Draymond was on the court. All their athletic players, Amen Thompson, Jabari Smith, Jalen Green. When Draymond wasn't out there, they was all getting downhill, finishing at the rim. It was nothing the Warriors could do about it. It was nothing nobody could do about it. So you're saying Draymond's not good against better teams. Like, bro, he's a one-man army out there defensively. If he's not out there, how do you think it's going to look? It's like, what's it called? Randall won that matchup against Draymond. But you also got to understand, Draymond has to worry about covering Randall, who's a formidable matchup for him to like deal with. And Draymond has to cover for everybody else on the team. Everybody else. You got Buddy Hield getting blown by. You got Jimmy Butler who's compromised, who's not giving as much defensively. He has to make it for him too. You got Paz out there getting cooked. Like, bro, the dude is 36 years old. He has to guard Randall, who nobody else on the team could guard, by the way. Nobody else can guard him. So Draymond has to guard him. And then he also has to cover for everybody else. And then steps out of the game. So he has to try to contribute more offensively, which is also cooking his legs. He's 36 years old and he's undersized. Like you're talking like this is like prime 28, 27-year-old Draymond. This is 36-year-old Draymond. He's a great defender, but you have to put him in position to succeed. You're holding that one matchup against him where Randall was cooking him. Okay, Randall was cooking. He was cooking everybody else too. I don't like y'all be on Draymond's helmet, bro. And I'm not gonna lie, I be too when he pulls the extracurricular shenanigans. But if you talking about defensively, I promise you it's not gonna look the way it looks defensively if you don't got Draymond out there. Ain't nobody making those rotations. Ain't nobody playing defense. It's not happening, bro. Y'all gonna find out one day, man. Once Draymond's not around, bro, dudes ain't playing no defense. Y'all gonna see. If we get to the finals, Siakam cooks Draymond. Siakam with his little spin move. Yeah, his little spin move in 2019 cooked Draymond. You're talking about like specific matchups, like the dude Draymond isn't the backbone of the defense. Do you not understand? Okay, let me put it like this. It's not easy to see it because we're not paying attention to defense. But the Warriors have the number one defense since February, right? This season. Why do you think that is? Because Draymond's on the back line covering everything up. So you're talking about specific matchups where Draymond loses a matchup. It's not like he loses all his matchups. He loses. Every good defender gets cooked every now and then by specific matchups. That's fine. The dude's 35 years old. He gets cooked by a specific matchup against a player that's bigger than him and has some skill to his offensive game, like Randall and Siakam. That's fine. Specific matchups, okay, he got the other player got the best of him. But the dude's responsibility is also to carry the entire defense. At 6'6", you're talking about a defensive anchor that's not 7'1" like Rudy Gobert, that's not 6'10" like Evan Mobley, that's not 6'11" like Kevin Garnett was, that's not 6'11" like Tim Duncan was, that's not 6'11" like Giannis. Draymond's 6'6", anchoring the defense, covering for everybody as an undersized big. And then he also has to check his matchup too. Come on, bro. Like y'all, come on, bro. Stop it, man. Um, but anyways, let's go to the next topic. Actually, I'll open up to y'all. Throw some topics out there. Our scheme asking too much of Dre and Steph. Yeah, man. I mean, that's what happens when your role players are inconsistent. Your better players have to do more, and when your better players are older, it's a mixed bag whether you get that or not. Let's see. I just think Draymond got exposed in the postseason. He is washed versus elite players. Draymond is washed compared to what he used to be, yes, but he's still an elite defender. You take Draymond off this team defensively, bro. Who's got okay? You're complaining about Randall. All right, let's just say Draymond's injured or he's not on the team, and you got Kuminga playing 35 minutes. Who's guarding Randall? Who's guarding Randall? You're talking about Siakam in a hypothetical series against the Pacers. All right, who's guarding Siakam? Will Draymond get cooked? Possibly. Will he lose that matchup? Possibly. But who's gonna get destroyed if? But we're gonna get destroyed if you don't even have Draymond out there. That doesn't even consider the fact that he's not on the back line either. So whoever you put in the spot, who's gonna get cooked too, even worse. Who's covering behind them if you don't got Draymond? Who's covering them? Who's at the rim to make up for everybody else's mistakes defensively? Who's the communicator? Come on, bro. Like I'm here for like I'm here that we can speak on Draymond's decline. That's fine. We're having honest hoop talk, but we're not gonna just sit here and act like Draymond is like a liability defensively. That's asinine. If that's what you're trying to imply, because he lost a few matchups against players that are number one bigger than him, and number two are skilled offensive players that are like way like what 5, 6, 7 years younger than him. Come on, bro, stop it. But anyways, I'm done talking about Draymond, bro. I'm not about to sit here and try to like argue his value defensively. I don't want JJJ, bro. He's soft and he doesn't rebound. The Warriors can't get Bam. He's not available. But yeah, is there anything else I wanted to talk about? King Corey said Bobby Portis. I would take Bobby Portis. Is he a free agent or is he a trade candidate? I'd rather have Brook Lopez over Bobby Portis, though, to be honest with you. Because Bobby Portis is not a good defender. He would get cooked. But he's a solid scorer off the bench. I don't know if I'll start him. That might not be great. Uh, yeah, man. Is there anything else I want to talk about? We're coming up on an hour here. Here's another thing, man. I want nothing more. I would want nothing more than for Kuminga to outplay Draymond to the point where Draymond gets benched. I think that's good for the Warriors. That's good for the team. That's good for everybody. If Kuminga takes a leap to the point where he's clearly better than Draymond, which forces Draymond to come off the bench, that's perfect. That's great. I want that to happen. I want this team to be as best as possible. But I'm not in favor of benching Draymond for the sake of benching Draymond and putting a player that's not as valuable in the lineup. Because as much as y'all talk about Draymond's offensive woes, what doesn't go on the stat sheet is the fact that how he helps get Steph open. His screening, his two-man game, his synergy, his how thirsty he is to find Steph, while other dudes will wave him off and do their own thing, or they won't see him making that. They won't make the extra pass. Draymond's gonna get Steph the ball. So there's some things that you don't see on the offensive stat sheet. Now, is he an offensive liability in terms of his own scoring? Yes, of course, we know that. But I just don't think it's as black and white as y'all make it seem, to where it's just like, oh yeah, he's done. He got to go. The best case scenario is Kuminga takes a leap. Kuminga outplays Draymond. Kuminga takes a spot. Draymond naturally comes off the bench because he lost his spot to the better player. That's how it's supposed to go. But 4 years into Kuminga's career, he hasn't done that yet. The Warriors literally benched Draymond during the regular season to give Kuminga that spot to see how it looks. Didn't look great. The Warriors got blasted off the court every game. Like, the other teams would get off to a crazy run to start the games because they were so loose offensively. It was no resistance. It was no deterrence, no resistance. So other teams got loose. And by the time Draymond checked in to try to put the fires out, it's too late. Other teams already got a rhythm. They already got their confidence going. It's too late, bro. Now you're fighting an uphill battle. Now you're trying to play catch up. You're done. You're not talented enough to play catch up with these other great teams. It's not happening. So Kuminga, I would love for Kuminga to take Draymond's spot, but he needs to earn it. Not giving away no handouts, bro. HR said point of attack defenders, Lonzo and Drew. I would take. See, here's the thing, bro. Drew Holiday's contract is crazy. He's getting paid like 33, then 34, then 37, like the next 3 years. I would love Drew Holiday, the player, but that contract is crazy. I'm not trading for that, bro. Lonzo, I'm not sure how good of a defender, on-ball defender Lonzo is these days. That man literally had like a knee replacement. It's crazy. I never heard of that before. So I'm not sure how that would look in terms of like a point of attack defender. But I know he's a good team defender. I know he can still like good, smart team defender, passing lanes and whatnot, all that good stuff. He would fit in. But Lonzo's a crapshoot, bro. I'm not trading for a dude that had to get a different knee replacement. That's crazy. Dre be snitching our schemes on his pod. Bro, all these teams got tape. They don't need him to snitch. Buddy Hield is just Jordan Poole 2.0. Psych. That's definitely not what he is. Why would the Wizards want Draymond Green, bro? Why would the Wizards want Draymond Green? And I'm not trading Pods for Poole. Is Poole a better player than Pods right now currently? Yeah, I guess, but Pods is getting paid cheap the next 3 years. Poole's getting paid $30 million, bro. You gotta look at asset management in that situation. Can't have all these huge 30+ million, $60+ million contracts and throw them all together, because then you would have to give up Draymond and Pods just to get Poole back. I'm not doing that trade. Hell no. I'm telling you, get Milton for the vest minimum. Get Brook Lopez for that MLE. Trade for Kobe White. It would be a solid offseason, man. The Wizards are tanking. Why would they want to improve their defense? Lucky. Why would they trade one of their young players for a 36-year-old that they have to pay $50 million the next 2 seasons? That'd be punching teammates. That'd be flagrant fouling and stomping dudes out and kicking dudes in the nuts, and a locker room terrorist. Why would they trade for that dude in their young locker room? This entitled 4-time champion that just thinks he's that guy. They're gonna trade for him and bring him into their young locker room with all their young players, where they don't even have a culture built yet. They're gonna bring in this dude with this. That's just insane. It's zero chance they do that. It's zero chance they're interested in Draymond. And they also got to consider any trade involving Draymond, Steph has to co-sign that. Steph ain't signing off on no trade for no damn Jordan Poole for Draymond. It's not happening, bro. You think we can get Milton, Brook, and Cam, and Kobe White? What players would you take off our roster to get those guys? Whoa. You got a little too much dip on your chip there, brother. You said Milton and Lopez and Cam and Kobe White. I mean, I guess it's possible. I don't even know if that's possible, bro. I don't even know if that's possible. You can get Melton for the vest minimum. You could try to get Brook Lopez for the MLE. You would have to sign and trade Kuminga for Cam, and then you would have to trade Moody for Kobe White. But you would have to attach like assets to Kobe to get Kobe White and Cam back. Yeah, I don't know if that's possible. That's a lot of money going back and forth, bro. I wish we traded Poole for Porzingis. Then CB3, what the hell? I mean, we could say that in hindsight, but Porzingis ain't been healthy since he got traded to the Celtics. I mean, he's literally just kind of just there. So trading for Porzingis is a crapshoot, bro. The dude is made out of paper clips. King Corey said Chris Middleton. Chris Middleton for the MLE prove it deal because I mean he's pretty washed, definitely washed. But how would he look if he's not getting paid a max contract and he's on a $6 million prove it contract to come off the bench and be a six man? How would that look? Would y'all take wash Chris Middleton off the bench to be like a six man on like a MLE contract? Come off the bench, play like 25 minutes a game. Don't play back to backs. 6'7" wing can hit some shots. He can handle the ball. Three level. He could shoot from midi from three. How would that look? Kelly Oubre Jr., King Corey, you are insane, bro. Hell nah. Oubre ain't never coming back over here, bro. All right, Berserk said if the Warriors become a first apron team, they can only offer free agents at 5.5 MLE, not the non-tax 13 mil. Appreciate that. So the Warriors are more than likely going to be a first apron team, I believe. So they will have at most 5.5. Is that enough to get Brook Lopez? I don't know. Brook Lopez would have to like really want to play for the Warriors. He did play at Stanford for in college, so he is a Bay guy. Maybe, who knows? Maybe at the end of his career, he wants to just have a stint playing close to home, and playing next to Steph and playing next to Jimmy is enticing for him. And he's like, look, me and Draymond's a good pairing in the front court because I can cover for him, he can cover for me defensively. Maybe he'd be down for that, but it would depend on what other offers he gets. Keon Ellis for Pods, bro. What are y'all talking about, man? That's crazy. That's a crazy trade. Oh man, that's crazy. Nah, but they can eat into some apron value though. But they will be broke. Yeah, things are gonna be tight for the Warriors financially, no matter what they do. Poole is tough, but not 30 mil tough. Yeah, I mean Poole's overpaid, bro. If Poole is making like 25 mil, that'd be like a perfect contract for him. Could we get a young player like Bilal Coulibaly? Zero chance. JK for Naz Reid. Is Naz Reid a free agent? What's Naz Reid? Can somebody look up Naz? Damn, I don't know why I couldn't say his name. Can someone look up Naz Reid's free agency status? Trade for Jared Allen. Jared Allen got bullied by Miles Turner, bro. You talking about Draymond Green getting cooked, and this dude Jared Allen literally got his lunch money took by Miles Turner in that Cavs Pacers series. That's two playoff runs in a row that Jared Allen got his lunch money took in the playoffs. No thanks. Nas is a free agent. Okay. The Warriors can afford him, man. I think Naz Reid, if he's a free agent, would he get like 20 mil a year? I feel like Nas can get 20 mil a year. What team wouldn't want a 6'10" stretch big that skill that could do some things with the ball in his hands? Naz Reid was making 14 mil last year, and he's due for a raise. So he could probably command like 20 mil a year. Reed declined his extension. Yeah, he's trying to get cash out. The Warriors can't afford him. Zero chance the Warriors get Naz Reid. Walker Kessler isn't available. Danny Ainge ain't trading him. He's already declined every trade for him. The Warriors would have to overpay just to have him consider it. And we're going to overpay for Walker Kessler? The Knicks offered Danny Ainge 2 first-round picks and Mitchell Robinson. Before they got Karl-Anthony Towns, they offered 2 first-round picks and Mitchell Robinson for Walker Kessler. Danny Ainge said, "Nah, give us 3 first-round picks." He kept every time they try to he kept raising the offer every time they try to meet it. So yeah, I'm not making no trades with Danny Ainge, bro. He's a terrorist. Alexander Walker for sure got to be an option on the Warriors. Got to take a look at him. He would be a big upgrade at the 2 spot. Alexander Walker would be solid, man. I just don't know if the Warriors can afford him. He might be able to get like $15 million a year. 6'6" combo guard that can dribble, pass, shoot. A proven playoff rotation player. Yeah, he's gonna cost at least $15 million. And there's zero chance he's taking a discount. He's like, what is he, 26? He's in the prime of his career. He's trying to maximize his money. He ain't taking no discount. The Warriors can't afford Alexander Walker either. Josh Hart, the Warriors can't afford Josh Hart. Let's see. I would like Malik Monk, to be honest with you. But the Kings are never gonna trade him to the Warriors. That's the thing. The Kings are a little bro. Like they're not gonna trade Malik Monk to the Warriors. They're just not. They're not gonna make any trades with us. Because they don't want to risk the chance of them getting fleeced. Like they already are like the laughing stock of the league, and they're a little bro. Do you really think they want to take the chance of getting fleeced by the Warriors just to add that to their feather of just like it's not happening, bro. They're gonna decline our trade requests, our trade proposals just because it's the Warriors. Just they're not trading Malik Monk to the Warriors. Malik Monk is an older Kobe White. I actually think Kobe White is just a better player than Malik Monk. I think he's a little more. They're comparable players though. Like they're pretty similar players. I like Kobe White a little bit better. Kobe White on the Warriors playing off of Steph and Jimmy's advantages would be disgusting, bro. Absolutely disgusting. Shaden Sharp is not available. Y'all are naming players. Here's the thing about when y'all name off these players. Before you name the player, ask yourself, why would the team that he's on trade him? Why would the Blazers trade Shaden Sharp? He's probably their best prospect. They're not trading Shaden Sharp. There's zero chance they trade Shaden Sharp. These tanking teams or these teams that are ass or buns, they're not going to trade one of their best prospects to the Warriors. It's not happening. Cam has positional size. Kobe tiny. Kobe White's 6'5". I mean, he's not tiny. He's a 6'5" combo guard. Look, the Warriors need another shot creator. Period. So, yeah, you would prefer for that shot creator to be like wing size or big, but those players are very expensive. The Warriors are limited. They can't just go out and just pick whoever they want. Oh, let's get this like 6'8" shot creator and just add them to the squad. They don't have that luxury of just picking whoever they want. They got to get what they can get. So Kobe White might kind of sort of be obtainable. And if he is obtainable, he's exactly what the Warriors need as another shot creator. He's a dribble pass shoot guy. He can get to the rim. He can bomb from 3. He's a scorer. Ball handler. He's smart with the ball. And he has enough size to where he can hold up in lineups. He's 6'5", not 6'2". So he could play next to Steph. He could play next to Pods. He could play next to Jimmy. You could play him next to pretty much every other one of your backcourt guys, and he can hold up defensively. So, yeah, I agree. We need size for sure. We need size, but you also need another shot creator as well. They can address the size with somebody like Brook Lopez, and then still get Kobe White. Michael Porter Jr. 0 chance, brother. That dude is cooked, man. He's getting paid $40 million. No, thank you. Jonas Valanciunas. Eh, eh. Yeah, I don't know about Valanciunas, bro. I mean, regular season to get you the regular season, I guess, but I promise you, Steve Kerr ain't playing Jonas Valanciunas in the playoffs. I can guarantee it. Guarantee it. He ain't playing Valanciunas in the playoffs, bro. He's a lick defensively. He doesn't move his feet. He's a purely, you can only play him and drop because he can't do anything else defensively. And you can't play a strictly drop big in today's NBA and like in serious playoff games. He can get you the regular season. He could bruise. He could be a banger. I would, and it's like it was for the vest minimum. Yeah, go get Valanciunas, but you gotta pay him $10 million. You gotta use that matching salary asset that you have to bring in Valanciunas just to not play in the playoffs. I wouldn't do that. Good scorer and rebounder in the regular season, but defensively, he's barbecue chicken. Steve Kerr will not play that dude in the playoffs. I promise you. Jakob Poeltl will be solid, but what do you have to give up to get him? I'm not giving up like multiple first-round picks for Jakob Poeltl. Jonas is so much better than Looney. I don't know about so much better. I don't know about that because Looney can hold up better defensively, but Jonas he's a better scorer. So it's kind of like depends on the matchup. In some matchups, I can see Jonas being a better option, but in some matchups, I can see Looney surviving more than Jonas. Luke Cornett, LOL. I don't know why you're LOL on Luke Cornett would be solid. Solid, serviceable big man. Serviceable big man. He's not a savior by any means, but he's serviceable. He's solid. But yeah, man, y'all got some good suggestions. By the way, if y'all like the video, man, go ahead and like the video right now. Drop that like. Show y'all appreciation, man. I appreciate y'all for showing up and spending y'all night with me, man. I know for some of y'all on the East Coast. Some of y'all are overseas. So I appreciate all y'all. By the way, man, everybody like the video and then tell me where you're watching from. How do I feel about Bol? I'm cool, bro. I'm cool. Bol's been a project for like 6 years, dude. Yeah, Brook Lopez or Al Horford. That would be like the move. I know they're old and they're not the sexiest names, but the Warriors can't be picky, man. Y'all can't turn y'all nose up to solid options and then turn around and name options that are unrealistic. There's a reason these options that y'all turn y'all nose up to are available because they're gettable for the Warriors. Everybody else, all these other players that are better than Brook Lopez and better than Al Horford, the Warriors can't afford them. Any player that's better than Brook Lopez, that's younger than Brook Lopez and Al Horford, the Warriors can't afford them. They can't afford them. So before y'all turn y'all nose up to Brook Lopez, ask yourself, what player are you thinking about instead, and can the Warriors afford them? Because they probably can't. So keep that in mind. Like, we're turning our nose up to Brook Lopez, and the Warriors might not even be able to get Brook Lopez. He might be too expensive for them to get him. Like, he would probably have to take a discount just to come to the Warriors. So, yeah, he's old, but he's better. He's an upgrade over everything the Warriors got, and the Warriors still might not be able to get him. So we can't be too picky, y'all. Yo, John, what's up, brother? I see you, my guy. Steven Adams is solid, man. The Warriors can't afford Steven Adams, though. They will get outbid pretty easily, mainly by the Rockets. So, Steven Adams would be I would love Steven Adams, but the Warriors just can't afford him. Yeah, but anyways, y'all, I'm going to cut it right there. I got a lot to do tomorrow. I got to get ready for bed. But I appreciate y'all for coming through. Again, if you haven't liked the video already, please like the video. Thanks for pulling up on me. And I'll catch you on the next one. As more information and more news comes out, I'll make another video.